Hello everyone, welcome back to another video from PM Problems, the site and channel dedicated to construction management, project management, and workplace topics. If this is your first time checking out our channel, welcome. My name is Patrick, and I've worked in construction management for the past 15 years. And in today's video, we'll be going through 10 must-know key tips and essentials for writing and reviewing change orders on your project. So whether you're on the client or contractor side, this video will have something for you. Now, this video is actually part 2 of a 2-part series I've put together specifically about construction change orders. In part 1, I outlined 6 common scenarios you're likely to run into on a construction project yourself, which often result in a change order being issued. Part 1 also discusses a few variables that determine the impact a change order will have on your project. If you're just starting out in construction management, I recommend watching that video first and coming back to this one afterwards. I put a link to part 1 in the description below. And before we get into these 10 essential tips, I'd like to take a moment to give a shout out to today's sponsor, OSHA Campus by 360 Training. If you need an OSHA 10 or 30-hour training course, 360 Training offers flexible, affordable, 100% online training options that you can complete on your own schedule from any device. Check out the pinned comment below to enroll today. If you sign up using our link, we may receive a small commission, which helps support the channel. And now, let's dive into today's topic. It's important to note that change orders typically involve a change to the project budget, but don't always. Some change orders are issued purely to grant additional time to complete the project, or to officiate a change to the project's scope of work, terms, or conditions without necessarily affecting the budget. But in today's video, we will be talking about change orders that do in fact affect the project's budget, and in turn, change the overall cost of the project. Now, with that said, let's outline the types of costs that typically make up a change order's total value. A change order might include all of these, or just a handful, depending on the type of change order and what it involves. They are as follows: labor cost, equipment cost, the cost of materials, the price for any subcontractors to perform work, the cost of hiring consulting firms such as engineers, inspectors, surveyors, or specialists, overhead, and lastly, profit. I'll be referencing these types of costs throughout the entire video. Now, let's get into the details. When pricing additional work, it's important to know the wage rates that can be charged for each trade involved. These wages are usually outlined in the contract, especially if the project includes union or prevailing wage labor forces. Wage rates charged by contractors are typically a compilation of what the worker gets paid per hour or day, plus additional portions to cover employee benefits like health insurance, and if in the US, payroll taxes, Social Security taxes, state taxes, and other employer costs. Making sure you're charging your clients the agreed upon wage rates ensures fairness, as well as making sure that we're not shortchanging ourselves on what we're entitled to. On the reviewer side, knowing the appropriate labor amounts for your project help you estimate potential costs and to make sure you aren't being overcharged by your contractors. If your change order involves charging for equipment or materials, it's essential that you first know what those items are actually going to cost you. Although it may seem obvious, it can be tempting to just throw in a best guess number in our estimate if we're strapped on time or really want the work that the change order entails. If we underestimate these costs and the change order is approved, we leave ourselves and our budget open to getting burned for no real reason, totally self-inflicted and avoidable. Some clients and projects may require that we submit proof of what these costs truly are to support what we're charging, which is a common practice on publicly funded work. This is usually done in the form of submitting a vendor quote, online price, or rates from sources like the Blue Book for equipment within our change order proposal package. Similar to pricing for materials and equipment, it's also important that we charge the correct amount for any work we won't be doing ourselves. Unless you feel very confident on what to charge for the work subs will be doing, it's best to get pricing from subcontractors for the work they're expected to do prior to submitting your own price. Ideally, it's best to get 2 or 3 prices whenever possible to have confidence in what to charge our clients, as well as to feel comfortable that any particular contractor isn't drastically over or undercharging for the work, something we can't know for sure with only one price in hand. It's of course essential that any potential subcontractor is charging the proper amount for their own labor, equipment, and materials as well. This is why it's best to have subcontractors break out labor versus material costs in their proposal at minimum. Unlike during the bidding phase, where overhead and profit margins are not explicitly stated in a contractor's total price, pricing of change order work often reflects a fixed margin allowed for the contractor's overhead and profit. These overhead and profit margins are typically called out in the contract. Overhead fees are charged to account for things like salaries of project management and administrative staff, as well as office costs and other general costs of operating the business as a whole. An example of how overhead and profit margins are factored into a change order price are as follows. Suppose a roofing contractor is getting a change order to remove and replace all of the gutters and downspouts on a commercial building, in addition to replacing the roof itself. The contractor estimates that the labor and material costs for this work will be $50,000. Now let's assume that the contractor is entitled to 10% overhead plus 5% profit on top of that, based on the terms of their contract. Overhead fees will be calculated by first multiplying the $50,000 change order by 1.1, which is equal to $55,000. Given that 10% of $50,000 is $5,000, we then multiplied this $55,000 figure by 1.05 to factor in the additional 5% in profit. This brings the total price to the client of the change order work to $57,750. In this instance, the contractor is charging an additional $7,750 to the client on top of the $50,000 they expect the work to cost, to account for general, non-work specific business costs, i.e. overhead, and profit margin as well. Whether you're a contractor submitting a change order proposal or someone reviewing a CO on behalf of the client, knowing the agreed upon margins from the contract is very important to ensure that pricing is submitted fairly and accurately for both parties. Depending on what the change order scope entails, contractors may need to provide additional insurance, additional bonding, or both. We'll go through an example of each momentarily, but let's first define what bonding is, as it's similar in concept but slightly less common to encounter than insurance, although it's still fairly common too. Bonds are what's known as a surety, which can be defined as a representation by a party that will step in to perform the duties on behalf of the party who purchased the surety, in the event that the purchaser cannot fulfill their obligation. In the context of construction, contractors will purchase a performance bond, which means that the bonding company will step in to complete the work at the agreed upon price if the contractor cannot finish the project once started. The cost of a performance bond is calculated as a percentage of what the total price of the work is, and is calculated slightly differently depending on the surety company who's issuing the bond, as well as the risk profile of the contractor buying it. Let's apply these concepts to a change order. While not every project requires bonding, some clients require that all work being performed is accompanied by a performance bond, dollar for dollar. Bonds are especially common on public projects or large private jobs. In these instances, additional bonding costs will be outlined in a contractor's change order and are usually calculated as a percentage of the additional work. Using the change order from the previous section, where the roofer submitted a change order for $57,750, they would then add an additional percentage to this price to cover additional bonding to cover the extra work on top of the bonding they've already secured for the project. If the bonding cost for this additional work is 1.5%, they will have to spend $866.25 for this additional bonding cost, which is added to the total change order price. For clarity, the $866.25 they'll be charging is 1.5% of the $57,750 figure that their work is priced at. Some change orders will require additional insurance as well. For example, if a change order involves removing hazardous materials like asbestos, a specialty contractor will need to be hired who has the proper licensing and insurance coverage to perform this work. This means that part of the price submitted by the asbestos contractor will include the specialty insurance, which was not included in the project before and is typically a lot more expensive than traditional construction insurance due to the greater risk involved. Now, before we move on to the next category, I'd like to take a moment to mention that I offer virtual one-on-one mentorship and coaching. I have a degree in civil engineering and nearly 17 years of experience working in the commercial construction industry, ranging from working as a laborer, a site supervisor, and a project manager. And it's truly a joy to utilize these skills and experiences I've picked up along the way to help other people learn, grow, and prosper. Whether you're just starting out in the industry and you're looking for guidance, or if you're a more experienced PM looking to discuss a detailed topic, I offer both 30 and 60-minute sessions through Zoom. To learn more or to book a session today with yours truly, check out the link in the description below. As we stated at the beginning of this video, change orders can be issued to allow for additional cost or additional time to complete the project, and many change orders account for a change in both. That's why it's important to account for any schedule impacts a change order will have to clarify this in the proposal. For instance, let's imagine that a foundation contractor is being asked to submit a change order to seal the entire concrete slab of a new warehouse once they pour it. Let's suppose for this example that the sealing work is expected to take 2 weeks and that no other work can be done until the sealing is complete. This puts the additional work on the critical path of the project schedule. I'll be doing a video all about project scheduling basics in the near future, where I'll be defining scheduling terms like this in more detail, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we can define the critical path as the total time that the longest array of tasks will take, which must be performed in a certain logistical sequence. As you can imagine, this time frame dictates how long the total project must be, given that there's no way to shortcut or condense these tasks any further. In the context of our example, the contractors involved, including the general contractor, will be entitled to 2 additional weeks to complete the project beyond the time frame currently stated in the contract. It's essential to clarify this additional time within the change order, both to document it as a legal change to the contract, as well as for client transparency. Depending on what a change order involves, the work might require that the contractor or manufacturer of material being installed provide a warranty specifically for this work. In simple terms, a warranty is a set of written terms and conditions outlined when and to what degree the contractor or manufacturer will step in to repair or replace aspects of the finished work should it fail to perform as specified. This applies to a given time period or warranty term. Regardless of whether the warranty terms are included in the change order to document that the client is being provided one, or if there's additional cost for this warranty, it's important to explicitly state the warranty terms and charges, if any, in the change order. This may even include submitting specific warranty documentation provided by the manufacturer certifying that they've legally issued such a warranty within their change order. Some random examples of manufacturers' warranties within a change order could be for equipment installed in a restaurant kitchen or machinery in a factory, as well as for materials like roofing shingles, siding, flooring material, and so on. These are a few random examples off the top of my head. Like we said before, contractors may also include additional labor warranty terms to cover any of the additional work they'll be doing as well. Many change orders involve making an adjustment to the work planned for in the original project scope. These changes in kind carry additional costs for labor, material, and so on, above and beyond what was planned for originally. In part 1 of this video series, we described these change orders in section 2 as a change to the project scope. That is to say, a change in the specifics of the work already planned to be performed, as opposed to an item of work being introduced that is completely new to the project. Let's put this in a real-world context. Imagine a hotel being renovated, the scope of which includes removing and replacing all of the flooring in the main lobby. Let's say that the hotel was originally planning to install 2 types of new carpeting through this area, but they've decided to get fancy and have marble tile instead. The flooring contractor doing this work originally budgeted for $20,000 in labor to install the carpet, plus another $20,000 for new carpeting material, totaling $40,000. To furnish and install a marble floor instead, the contractor expects the labor cost to be $50,000 and the tiles to be $80,000, totaling to $130,000. Now, the contractor is only entitled to a change order for the additional cost involved, not the entire amount. Their change order should outline the additional labor cost to be $50,000 minus the original $20,000 planned for a net labor increase of $30,000. The additional materials are $80,000, less the $20,000 originally expected for the carpet. Thus, the change order will cover the $30,000 in increased labor cost and $60,000 in increased material cost, for a total of $90,000 in additional cost, plus overhead, profit, and any other additional charges we've covered already. Now that we've explored the various costs that a change order covers, let's talk a bit about terms, conditions, and relevant portions of the contract documents that should be outlined in a change order as well. Change order proposals should describe the work that'll be done with at least a little bit of detail. This is done for transparency between contractors and clients. As part of this process, it's important to reference any relevant drawings and specifications from the original project documents that are involved in the work being charged. In many cases, change orders are initiated from an RFI, or request for information, where any unforeseen conditions or unclear information in the project documents are first brought to attention, as well as the agreed upon solution from the client side. In these instances, it's important to make reference to the relevant RFI in our change order, both for transparency and for legal reasons. The same can be said for referencing any other written directives given to the contractor involved in the additional work. And last but certainly not least, it's important that change order proposals qualify and clarify any specific information involved with the work being proposed, so the client can be informed of these conditions at the time of review, as well as to make these terms clear for legal purposes. I plan on doing a full-length video on construction qualifications and exclusions in the near future, so stay tuned for that. But let's go through a few common examples for some context here. Qualifications typically outline the specific terms that apply to the additional work. These can include the working hours for any labor forces involved, the logistics of using specific equipment or receiving and installing certain materials, effects that the work will have on other parts of the project, and so on. Exclusions, on the other hand, outline the details of any work that is not included as part of the additional work. A painting company hired to paint the inside of an office, for example, will likely exclude any repairs to the existing walls, or certain areas they won't be painting at all. A masonry contractor working for a general contractor might exclude the off-site disposal costs of old bricks they've removed to install a new terrace. These are a few simple examples off the top of my head, but the general idea is that qualifications and exclusions outline the legally binding terms and conditions associated with the change order, as well as to clearly state which work items are included and which are not. And that wraps up today's discussion and our two-part video series on all the essentials you need to know to write and review change orders on your project. Now, what are your thoughts? If you have any comments or things you'd add to this list, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, giving it a like and sharing it with someone you think would find it helpful is a huge help to the channel. And if you haven't already done so and you think I did a good job, please consider subscribing to stay in touch for future videos. Your support does not go unappreciated. And last but not least, if you're interested in one-on-one virtual mentorship and coaching, please check out the link in the description below for more information or to book a session with yours truly. And most importantly, thank you for being here. This is PM Problem signing off, and until next time, cheers.